Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. So, wow, what a title. All you need is God. And if you misapply this teaching, it will fuck you up. Now, I'm not one to swear very often, but every now and then it's very helpful and very useful. And this is one of those times, I think. You let me know. So before I hop into that, though, as I was reflecting on this, a lot of this channel and a lot of the teaching I do is about critiquing the modern satsang movement. And people have actually asked me this. They're like, well, why don't you just focus on the truth? Well, that's a really good question. And the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because if you've spent a lot of time in the Neo-Advaita scene, and a lot of us have, I'm one of them, or the New Age scene, there's a lot of distorted truth being taught, meaning it's very close to the truth and it's also twisted and distorted. And a lot of us are actually in kind of a recovery process in a sense. And we've been brainwashed, really. There's just no other way to say it is, if anyone teaches a spiritual teaching that isn't true and does it in a and does it in a way as if they're proclaiming the truth and claims enlightenment for themselves and then teaches something that's not true, it literally is a form of brainwashing. And a lot of us, and that's actually what this channel is really about, is recovering from the Neo-Advaita disease, cult. And it's a bummer. It's really tragic. It's really tragic. And here's another example of how the truth can get so easily distorted. So it's just a mystical fact, not even fact is maybe a wrong word, and not even just with Advaita Vedanta, not even just with Hinduism, but just across the board. You'll find this in Judaism, in Christianity, in Islam, in Hinduism, in Taoism, and depending on the school of Buddhism, some forms of Buddhism, and sprinkled here and there amongst various spiritual and New Age, this very simple idea that all we really need is it. You could call it God, love, truth, ultimate reality, realization, self-knowledge, Allah, Jehovah, Christ, the Tao. People use different words for it, but across the board, it's just presented over and over and over again that whatever it is, whatever you call it, that is in truth the only thing we need. Whether you call it a connection to that, being in alignment with that, realizing that one thing is the only thing that we really need. Okay, so you find that idea expressed different ways in different cultures, different traditions. And if you misapply that, if you mispractice that idea, it'll really destroy you. It will fuck you up big time. Why? So, in a sense, you could say that's the ultimate state of realization. I don't want to say ultimate. Exceptionally high. Who is it for me to put a ceiling on the spiritual path? Who is it for anyone, really? That's a whole nother topic. Take someone like Ramana Maharshi. He was so immersed in the self that rats were chewing on his body. He didn't notice. If he noticed, he didn't care. He was so absorbed, so utterly devoted, utterly dependent, you could say merged, united. I wish he was here. I could ask him. He'd probably laugh and want to know who is it that wants to know. No, he probably wouldn't say that to me. He might say that to that's another story. um, so he was utterly reliant on it. And he even spoke of it as a force. And some people don't like, they only like the word the self, but he used many words to describe it. And he was utterly, in a sense, subservient to it. And he wouldn't do anything that would, you know, dishonor it or dishonor his immersion in it or relationship with it or union with it. So, in a sense, you could say whatever it is that non-duality that Advaita Vedanta is pointing towards, Ramana Maharshi mastered it. He is what we could call an Advaita Vedanta master. He mastered complete detachment from the world and complete attachment to the divine. Now, beautiful. And as someone who was a true master of that, he was able to guide people. That's why I made the joke, well, actually, he wouldn't say that to me. He wouldn't point me towards self-inquiry because that's not, he would respond to people depending on where they're at. And I've examined my mind to know enough, and I've talked about this a lot, that the state of my mind, self-inquiry isn't the path for me. Yeah. But Ramana Maharshi was a true master of this discipline, and hence he could truly guide people. So, if your mind, and by mind, I don't just mean thoughts. Mind, I mean the flavor of a person's mind. If it's not ripe for that level of detachment from the world and attachment to God in that way, in a purely detached, non-active, non-emotional way, it's the wrong path for you. And you will literally be at war with yourself. And you can see people like this in the satsang movement who are just kind of dead people. Like they've just lost their vitality, they've lost their personality. It's because they've done what I call premature renunciation, which is a lot more tragic than the other premature da-da-da-ation. That one's just a little embarrassing. Premature renunciation is a shit show. I've experienced it myself. I'm recovering from it. I know lots of people who have experienced it. Premature renunciation means renouncing desire before you're ready to renounce desire. It's actually a false renunciation. It's pretending that you've renounced desire when actually you haven't. And that's why you have all these teachers abusing students financially, sexually, with power. It's because they're teaching a doctrine of renunciation and they haven't actually fully renounced. Ramana Maharshi was a renunciate, not just in the sense of externally in his activities, but internally. In fact, he would encourage people to not take renunciation because he would say, great, you renounce all your possessions, but you're still going to have your mind. Like if you renounce before you're ready, it's going to just be a mess. It's going to be a real mess. And I speak from experience here. So what to do? Well, first, let me see if there's anything else I want to say. It's just the sad state of the world that I hate to say this. I don't know a single non-dual teacher out there that I personally would trust. And I've been around the world. I've read quite a bit. I've sat with quite a bit, and there's just not. Actually, there is one, and of course, he doesn't teach He teaches in a way so different that most people wouldn't think it's non-duality. Like the one teacher I found that has integrity is so different from the modern satsang culture that most people would be like, he's not a non-dual teacher. And they'd be right. He's not a Neo-Advaita Advaita teacher, and they'd be totally turned off. Um, so the thing is, what to do now? People on this, and not just people on this channel, people in the world are finally waking up that the way it's being taught is really a form of violence, and really is a form of brainwashing. It's a form of violence to our humanity, and it's a form, you know, one of the greatest, the most important things I ever read about Advaita Vedanta is to start with bhakti, to start loving God. And then it said, if renunciation happens, then it'll just kind of happen spontaneously. And this author said that a lot of times what happens is people force renunciation, and then it's really not renunciation, because then it's more just like suppression. And that's why you have all these teachers acting out, because they really haven't renounced. And then it gets super crazy, because then you have all these students who are devoted, who are like, this person is enlightened, or worse yet, this person is God. And so then from that crazy belief system, they have to justify the, let's just say it what it is, evil behavior of these teachers. Like, oh, it's crazy wisdom, or oh, it's a teaching lesson. Well, actually, no, it's abuse. Yes, we can learn something from everything, but so the thing is, I've said this so many times, and I can't get tired of saying it. In the only book that Ramana Maharshi wrote on this path, he starts off with karma yoga. And karma yoga is not service. That's been another thing that's been stolen by many teachers to get cheap labor out of students. Karma yoga is an attitude of dedicating our life to serving God. I think the second sentence Ramana wrote was about karma yoga. And then after that, he talked about bhakti yoga. And then he talked about breath control. And then he talks about meditation, and then self-inquiry. I hate to say it, but it's a process. I know everyone wants a quick fix. And for those whose mind is ripe, all you have to do is just hear the truth once. Hear that our nature, your true nature, is forever free, limitless. In Hinduism, they call it consciousness, being consciousness bliss. I've also heard it called, and I believe it's very accurate, presence. The Buddhists call it suchness. They call it shunyata, emptiness, but this emptiness has a fullness to it. That underneath all these thoughts and feelings, underneath, much less this, underneath this body, underneath these thoughts and feelings, and underneath these sensations and movements of energy in our body, there is something really, truly sacred and forever free and forever peaceful. And if you're ripe, and how do you get ripe? All the other practices that Ramana described that Neo-Advaita teachers aren't teaching. If you're ripe, all you need to do is hear that once. And so I tried to live as a monk for many, many, many years, and I'm still recovering from it. It's one of the most destructive things I ever did to myself. Did I reap benefits from it? Yes, absolutely. The discipline, the detachment, the wisdom, the insight, a lot. And it didn't work. Ramana himself said it. He said only someone who has no interest in anything in the world is ripe for self-inquiry. It's a paraphrase, but it's almost the exact words. I still had, it was like I was trying to do both things. Like not care about the world, because self-inquiry is a path of not caring about the world. not caring at all, at all. Utter detachment. I was simultaneously trying to not care about the world and care about the world, like pursue passions and romance and creativity. And um, that's not to say after realization that those things can't flow, but it's you don't really seek them out. It's just what happens. Let's see. The LBGTQ community loves you. All of us men think you are very hot, and we watch you while at the local gay bar in Miami. Well, you never know what's going to happen in life, and you never know what's going to happen in live broadcast. So again, this person says the LBGTQ community loves you. All us men think you are very hot, and we watch you while at the local gay bar in Miami. Well, maybe I'll. I mean, I'm glad my hotness gets people listening to spiritual things. I'm flattered. Um, yeah, I think I am hot. I don't know that you necessarily in the same way that you do or these um, gay men do, but the truth is we're all hot. The truth is we are all unbelievably sexy in the true sense of the word, meaning that which is alluring, that which is attractive. We are in our in our core unbelievably hot, and the truth is God, ultimate reality, is the ultimate sex bomb, the ultimate thing that draws us 24/7. Whether we admit it or not, we all want God 24/7 with every ounce of our being. And we're made, in my view, in the image and likeness of God, so hence we share God's hotness. But we are, you know, there's that song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. We are all looking for that red hot, true, eternal, eternal love. And it pulls at us night and day. And the spiritual path to me is finally realizing what's actually sexy, what's truly attractive, and immersing ourselves in that. What do I, just to be crystal clear, I don't mean what's truly sexy like a sexy lifestyle or a sexy outfit. I'm talking about God is ultimate, the ultimate, the ultimate sex bomb, the ultimate, the ultimate thing that draws us because it's unspeakably beautiful, unspeakably sexy, hot, beautiful, alluring. And until we have that, till we have it 24/7, our soul will never rest. And here's where bullshit Neo-Advaita will come in and say, well, but you are that. So it's one thing it's one thing to have that as an intellectual idea. It's another thing to live it moment by moment be immersed in the self. If you want to upset a Neo-Advaita teacher or a Neo-Advaita preacher, that's really what they are, preachers. Just ask them, so do you experience this every moment of every day continuously? And you'll probably get an intellectual answer. That was a fun comment. Thanks, Bearman. Whatever works, whatever gets us there. This has been a really fun, um, little chat, and I think that's everything for now. See, the thing is in this quest, it's like in this quest for the eternal lover, the eternal beloved, to be united eternally, we have to be oh so skillful. Oh so skillful. And not experience premature renunciation. Like it's okay to go for a walk, and go on a date, get a massage, eat a good meal. It becomes a problem when we become overly attached. But it also becomes a problem when we try and detach unskillfully. Like, I am the self. All I need is God, so no massage for me. Like, oh, I really want my favorite food, but I am that. I don't need that. That kind of behavior, then that desire is just going to come out in a twisted, nasty way. And that's why there's so much abuse going on in the spiritual scene. So go have a cheeseburger or get a massage, or just, part of this path is just learning how to take exquisite care of ourselves, as we're learning that our true nature ultimately doesn't need any kind of self-care. But until we're fully there, we have to be so skillful with ourselves, or it will truly create a mess, truly be at war with ourselves. Thank you so much for joining in. Take care. Much love.